Excellent. I forgot until 20 minutes that we were doing this.
Yeah.
I'm in my pajamas right now.
I shouldn't have reminded you. I was on my way home from work and I was like, I have to take a shower. I'm just gonna call him and be like, hey, can you like just come down to the garage as soon as I pull in? And you're like, oh shit, I forgot. And I was like,
it's like, why? To greet you?
So I'm pretty beat. I'm tired.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. No, like, let's hang out in the car and talk like some blaxploitation movies for a while. No, I'm, alright, I gotta get into review mode right now. I'm like, seriously sitting here in my pajamas.
Yeah,
no, this helps out because,
feel like I'm not gonna be that great in this video. Not that I'm like an amazing movie reviewer at all, but...
You are, honey, you're the best. You just need some more puns. You'll be the next Gene Shalit. No, this helps. We're gonna be gone at the con this weekend. And we got other videos up this week, too. Check out the Snob episode on the Animal House ripoff King Frat. Doug and I reviewed with, Matt Fagerholm from RogerEbert.com. We reviewed Dr. Sleep yesterday, so we got an early review up for that. And this is Dolemite Is My Name, the new movie in which Eddie Murphy, who also produced the film, plays movie star, stand-up comedian, little bit of everything, Rudy Ray Moore. And I'm actually glad that you are here reviewing this movie with me and that you did watch this movie, because I am curious to know from your perspective of watching this movie, because you didn't grow up with Rudy Ray Moore and haven't seen Dolemite
No, I've never heard of it.
Any of his other movies, whereas in my case, I did. More so his movies than his stand-up, though a lot of his stand-up is in his movies. I
also mentioned to you, I was like, I mean, I'm younger than you, so I was like, I grew up with a different Eddie Murphy.
Oh, and there's that too. This is my Eddie Murphy right here. Movie
I saw like Bowfinger.
Sure, and that's a great movie.
And I think another more adult Eddie Murphy movie, but I mostly know him from like Donkey and like Mushu.
Yeah.
Dr. Dolittle.
Man. I grew up with the real Eddie Murphy. Delirious, Raw, Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, Coming to America. This is, to me, was a beautiful thing, seeing not only Eddie Murphy back on top of his game in this movie, but not only this kind of Eddie that I kind of grew up with, but also playing somebody like Rudy Ray Moore. And I remember when I was in high school, there were two movies that we all kind of would circulate amongst each other just on tape. I am older than you.
I used to use VHS tapes.
Yeah. As coasters.
Oh.
I'm kidding. No, we would do that with...
Not that young.
I know, honey. But I'm very old. No, we would do that with Caligula. It was my copy of Caligula VHS, and it would like loaned to a bunch of people who, really were curious about that. And also Dolemite that another dude had. Like, because it would be like, you see Caligula? Like, yeah, man, you see Dolemite? Like, we would, when our video store at one point got a copy of The Human Tornado, the sequel to Dolemite, it was like heaven for us, because it was our only way of seeing these movies then. And when they released the box set of or a lot of his movies at least, I remember Dave and I going there on like opening day to get this set, because it had Disco Godfather, it had Petey Wheatstraw, Dolemite, Human Tornado, and you can see, if you've seen any of our movies, you can see references here and there to some of his stuff, especially in Disco.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
there's is there really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, we always just keep a copy of Disco on hand. Oh yeah, there it is. There's a copy of Disco.
It fell out. It's right next to the kid I take care of, the car seat too, and I keep forgetting to move it.
There's a lot of references to Disco Godfather in here, especially with Farad's character, who's in the movie. And what I love about this movie as a fan of these movies is that it's a very loving film.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
It's a very sweet movie. It made me want to like watch Dolemite and know more about him.
I will show you Dolemite.
I will totally watch the hell out of that. That
Yeah.
looks like a really fun ride.
It is. It's the best. Like, I will show you Dolemite and Disco Godfather, Petey Wheatstraw, all of that.
You can tell the people that made this movie really have a fondness for Rudy Ray Moore. Like, you know, they really, like, wanted to respect him. And
Especially Eddie Murphy. Like, I mean, the movie's written by the guys who are very good at writing biopics. They wrote Ed Wood, People vs. Larry Flint, Man on the Moon. I mean, these guys are really, really good at what they do, and having them attached to this movie, too. They write it in a way like the other movies, where it's not really making fun of its subjects or looking down on them or anything like that, like this movie, like Ed Wood.
Yeah, like Ed Wood.
And is about somebody who knows what they like.
Very ambitious people.
Yeah, ambitious, and knows what they like. They're not written to be idiots or anything
Right.
like that, or to laughed at and pointed at. No, this is a movie about a guy who knows his limitations to an extent. There's a part where he's on set and he flat out says, like, that's what we got you people here doing. I don't know how this movie making stuff works.
Yeah.
He just knows the kind of movie he wants to see, and he's smart enough to put somebody else in there as a director,
Yeah.
someone else in there as a writer, but he just knows roughly what he wants on the page and just the kind of movie that him and his audience want to see in a movie like Dolemite.
Yeah, and like it'll get bad reviews, and he's like, read the reviews, and they have the newspaper, and he's just like, I don't care. We made a movie. I'm proud of what we did. I don't care.
And
Like,
he, in the one review that is technically a negative review of it, but he takes it as a positive.
Either
And
like
it's talking vulgar, crude,
yeah.
rude, and all of that. It's like,
Just
that's
take
what I want.
That's what I need. That's what I was planning on doing.
Yeah. And he has some, like, he's certainly very fast talking in the film, definitely, and he's very funny, and he's very great in the movie. He's a very lovable character. Like, he doesn't
I mean, there's a
really...
Oh, I said there's a reason why, like, you know, he's a good salesman. He's a good reason on selling this himself as a product to get money from these people.
And he doesn't let a lot of stuff slow him down either. When they tell him that he can't put his stuff out on records, he just does it himself and sells it out of a trunk. He has lows in the movie, certainly, but he's got confidence. Like, when the guy tells him, like, you can't be a lead, look at you, you're doughy. You know, I mean, he likes himself. He likes how he looks. He wants to be in front of the camera. He wants to be in a sex scene.
He's a little insecure, it shows in the movie with the sex scene. They're like, just make it funny.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but that kind of goes hand in hand too with Jerry Jones in the movie, who Keegan-Michael Key plays, where
Oh, yeah, he was great.
He's great, and he plays him to a T. Like, so you have him, who's very much this theater writer, wanting to make this important look at that scene at the time, whereas
tender and
whereas Rudy Ray, like, oh no, I just want to give the audience some sex and nudity and things like that, like, you know, like, but they come together, like, they get along, they don't, like, really clash hard.
They complement each other,
and that's how he is with a lot of people in this movie. Like, while he's certainly selling his album, selling his movie, wanting to get his name out there, wanting to get a name for himself, he has these very real moments with everyone in the movie. The actress playing, what
was her name? What was her name?
Queen Bee, or Lady Reed, sorry. So, with her, like, they have a very real moment at the bar, where she does, again, she thinks he's kind of conning her at first, but he's not, and he's being very complimentary towards her and makes her feel good about herself, and he sticks up for other people too. You have Wesley Snipes, who's great in the movie. It's D'Urville Martin, and D'Urville Martin, who was a great character actor way back when, he portrays D'Urville Martin as this kind of, like, fey actor a little bit.
Diva.
Who's too good for all of this, but he's given a chance to direct. He's like, well, I'll let you direct. Like, oh, okay, my ears are perked. So he kind of acts above all of this, and Rudy Ray has a couple of real moments with him where, like, you might be treating this as just kind of nothing, but it's, for everyone else, it's really not.
Right.
Like, we are passionate about this movie, this character, and everything. And I loved that when it wrapped, D'Urville Martin is just like, so that's it, right? That's it? We're done? Okay, bye. And he just leaves and says, I'll see you at the premiere. Probably not.
Does he come to the premiere? I don't remember.
I think that's his last scene in the movie.
I was going to say, I don't think
is when he walks out the door.
I'm sure he's proud of it now, maybe. I don't know. But
D'Urville Martin, I don't know.
There were a lot of fun, like with the kung fu scenes that were really funny. It's just like,
it looks just like that in the movie. And if you know these movies well, like they're matching it really well.
Yeah.
Like it looks like they're filming in front of the same houses in a lot of scenes, and maybe they are. They don't even get into like the boom mic being all over that movie, and also there's a scene in that movie where Dolemite shoots a guy, like say we're at this range right here. Let's say I've got the gun pointed off in this direction. Mm-hmm. He shoots it off there, but the squib still goes off in the guy. It's amazing, man. Like, it's a memorable movie. It's funny. It's legit funny, because, I mean, it's part comedy, certainly. But I've seen it many times.
I do want to see it, for sure.
If you know those movies well enough, you do notice in this movie how they combine both movies, because it's showing them making a lot of the movies about the making of Dolemite. But if you know these movies, you see a couple parts where you go, wait, that's Dolemite too.
Yeah, you were saying that, and I was like, oh.
The sex, I mean, there is a sex scene in the first one, but that over-the-top comedic one
that was a funny scene, though.
No, it is.
I think it was okay that they left it in there, even though it's inaccurate. I'm like, well, whatever.
I was fine with it, because, I mean, that is a lot of...
It's a very memorable scene, I'm guessing.
It is. Yeah. And a lot of tropes of the Dolemite movies that have been parodied and other things, like Mad TV used to do Dolemite sketches a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot of what they would be parodying, and that would be from the second movie. So I sort of see why they put in, like, you know, the redneck sheriff and things like that in this. To just that really didn't bother me. Yeah. Eddie Murphy. So were you following along with it fine?
Yeah,
really?
For someone who really doesn't know anything about it. I'm like, yeah, this was... I mean, it's just like watching Ed Wood. I really didn't know that much about Ed Wood either.
Yeah.
But I could follow it just fine, you know? It's just, I mean, you just think of it as a person that really wanted to make a movie and made it happen, you know?
Yeah, and his stand-up and this persona that he was on stage. And Eddie Murphy in the movie, there's parts where Eddie really kind of makes this his own take on Rudy Ray Moore. There's a little bit of Eddie in there, and there's a little bit of Rudy Ray Moore. When he's on stage, a lot of mannerisms that he has on stage in this movie, you can really see Rudy Ray Moore in there. Also, when they're reenacting some things in the movies. When other scenes, it is like this kind of Eddie Murphy, Rudy Ray Moore hybrid, really. And again, I was fine with that, because, I mean, it's one of the best performances Eddie Murphy's given in a long time.
He was really, really good in it.
Yeah, and the movie is mostly a comedy, and Eddie is great at that in this, at using some different mannerisms of Rudy Ray Moore, interjecting it with his own to make this very, very funny movie. Honestly, it would be a good double feature with Bowfinger.
Oh, yeah.
They're both about low-budget filmmakers. Both have Eddie Murphy. There's a lot of scenes where there's certainly more Eddie Murphy there than Rudy Ray Moore. But again, it didn't take me out of the movie because of the tone and how good Eddie Murphy is in the film.
He was really good. Yeah, I just really wanted to give him a hug the whole time.
I know, right?
I was like, he's just such a lovable guy. Like, I really was rooting for him the whole time. I was like, I really just want this movie to do well. Like, he was waiting for, like, people to buy the movie so they can, what did you call that? Distributor.
To sell it.
Yeah, and he's just like, he's living in this like really shitty like warehouse, and he's just like waiting for the phone, and he's like, oh, so yeah, it's a real movie. Yeah. oh, okay. And he just crosses it off the list, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
like,
I know, right?
I just want to give you a big hug. Like, you're trying so hard to make this movie. And
Like, don't worry, dude, you'll get that movie released.
yeah, I loved the character. I mean, I just liked what he did with his character, and
you can tell, like, the kind of influence that Rudy Ray Moore has on a comedian like Eddie Murphy. And
yeah.
again, for me, a lot of reasons I love this movie. It's a very entertaining movie. It's a very inspirational movie as
It's
far
very
as
inspirational.
low-budget movie making goes. I mean, right along there with the movie like Ed Wood, certainly.
You just gotta keep trying.
Yeah. And it has a tremendous amount of heart and love for him as a person and a love for these movies. So being able to watch this movie being made about him and about the movie Dolemite, especially being as well written and well done as the movie is, that was great for me. And also, just as an Eddie Murphy fan, because I grew up with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is one of my like comedy heroes. He's one of my favorite, if not my favorite stand-up. So to see him back in something like this,
Right.
that kind of Eddie Murphy that I really grew up with, was awesome.
When we were at home, and I watched Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Oh, that's a great episode.
Yeah, I love that show in general,
Yeah.
but I was like, oh look, Eddie Murphy's on here.
Yeah.
And it's like an hour. It was like
It's like 40 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, and it was he's definitely like kind of having, I don't know, want to say a comeback, but well, I guess a comeback.
I hope so. I mean, he's got another stand-up
Yeah,
that
he
he's
has
doing.
another stand-up. Or is that rumored?
No, he's doing a new stand-up.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, it seems like, he's kind of getting out of that kid thing. There was the joke that he made that was really funny on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, where he was like, you know when a movie is just like really bad, but your face is on it and you're just like...
Yeah, when you still, it's already come out and bombed and you still see posters for it around LA.
And you're just like just really silly, smile. It's like
I know that poster.
I wonder which movie he was talking about.
It could have been a
Dr.
number,
Dolittle.
no, that wasn't a bomb.
The second one?
I don't know how well the second one did, but there was like Imagine That and 1,000 Words.
Oh, 1,000 Words. I didn't see that one. You know, I didn't grow
Meet
up...
Dave was one.
The only one... I mostly grew up with the Mushu, like, Eddie Murphy. Like,
sure.
I didn't really watch those, like, 1,000 Words and, like, Imagine That. I didn't watch those. I mostly just watched, like, the late 90, early 2000 ones.
yeah,
I didn't watch the kid movies that were, like, 2007 or 2010 or something.
Yeah, I mean, you see, even in some, like, I mean, there's awful Eddie Murphy kids movies, but there's ones where he still has that, and when he's Donkey, he's still got that Eddie
I
Murphy
love him as
spark in there.
Donkey.
Yeah, he's still got that Eddie
Mushu.
Murphy spark in there. Mushu, but I mean, those were certainly, at least Mulan and the first Shrek movie, were out around when he was also doing... like the Nutty Professor and Metro, I thought was a really underrated one. Bowfinger, I love. So this is one of his best performances. I mean, it is. It's one of his best movies in a long time.
He's been kind of shut in for a while, though. Like, kind of
I
semi-retired.
mean, he's kind of I don't know about retired, but like
semi.
but it's to see him back has been definitely. I wish this came to theaters here. Well, I mean, I think it did for like a few days. Came up here, but we missed it, and it's on Netflix right now. I would have loved to have seen this in the theater.
Isn't he gonna host SNL again or something?
Oh, I think he is. I think
This is how we greet people in my neighborhood.
So you grew up with a little bit of
Yeah, a
old school
little bit.
Eddie. Mr.
Who is it?
Who is it? Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood? Yeah.
A little bit of that, but
What
not,
about when he was Gumby?
No,
Or
I remember when he did like Whiteface or something.
oh, that was great.
Yeah.
No, sir, just take the magazine. Are you sure? Just take it.
Just a little bit, not that much though.
When he was Buckwheat, do you remember that? Oh, Tay. Like,
I just remember the who is it?
yeah.
This is how he answered in my neighborhood.
I say we reenact all of that with you in the Eddie Murphy role.
No, I'm sure I'll offend someone somehow.
That's fine.
Well, I probably shouldn't. Anyways, I'm not gonna imitate a black man.
You just did.
But I did it in my voice.
Oh, that's true. You added your own voice to the material. Becky's Neighborhood.
Becky's Neighborhood. No, go away.
Okay, here's your package. This is a porn.
Yeah, I would have seen this in theaters. Mm-hmm. It's too bad it didn't get really widespread release in
hope
theaters.
it gets some, like, nominations and stuff, at least in the acting department. It's a really good ensemble between Craig Robinson, Mike Epps, Wesley Snipes.
Titus something. He's from Unbreakable. I didn't know that. I realized that was him for a while. But...
Snoop Dogg has a cameo. There's a few cameos in the movie
Chris
from
Rock.
people. Yeah, from people who were definitely, at least partly inspired by Rudy Ray Moore.
Oh, Bob Odenkirk was in it too.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was certainly. I mean, we could talk a little bit about this, just a little bit here about the second movie we watched.
Yeah, well,
it was a more uplifting film really than the second one we watched.
It's been like 3 days since we saw the movies, so like I'm a little like. I hope I didn't leave anything out, but I'm with the other movie. Yeah. But with this one, this was the last movie we watched that night, and it was getting pretty late. So, I mean, it was good. Like that. Oh, just say what the movie is.
Oh, The Nightingale. We watched The Nightingale, the Jennifer Kent movie. I've been wanting to see this for a while because she did The Babadook, and this is, I believe, her first movie since The Babadook. I think, I've been waiting to see this since I first heard about the movie, which was months and months and months ago. I mean, the movie, I think, had a limited release a while back, and I think you can watch it on Hulu now, I believe. So we finally saw this movie. And this is a movie that's taking place in Tasmania, I believe, and during the Black War around in the 1820s, in which you have these British colonist soldiers against these... They have a lot of Irish convicts that basically they use for like slave labor, and then the yeah, thank you.
I think you call them something else now, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Sorry.
There's this kind of war sort of going on there, but the movie is a revenge story.
It is, yeah.
About this woman again who's this servant to some of these soldiers. She has a husband, she has a baby, and she's this convict. And one night, these few soldiers, Sam Claflin from Me Before You and some other things, I forget the actor's name, but he was Charles Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was Charles Manson in another movie too. And it's them and a couple others go in there, and this movie is like if you cross The Revenant with I Spit on Your Grave.
Yeah.
Like, it is this brutal rape scene at the beginning of the movie. Her husband is killed, her baby's killed and slammed against a wall.
And then she's raped twice, right?
Yeah. It has been a few days since we watched this movie.
Well, you are way better with the details than I am. I'm like, the year? I don't remember. And you're like, oh, it's this year.
I memorize every IMDb plot summary. So it becomes this Trek movie in which she survives, and the scene is... It's a gorgeous movie.
It's a gorgeous movie. Like, at first I was like, where is this? Like, at first I thought it was America, but then heard the accents and stuff, and saw, like, I was like, why are there palm trees? And
oh, yeah. No, so even that scene is beautifully shot because, I mean, it's fixated very much on her face at one point, and her having to act through this scene just from her facial mannerisms alone.
Escaping, or
no, when this is going on, when her husband's killed, when her baby's killed and everything. And it becomes this Trek movie where she's going through the wilderness along with this guide that she has.
He's an Aboriginal. Like, he knows the land, and she pays him.
Yeah, so
like
people are after...
Like one coin, I'm like... Is it worth that one coin?
That one coin is $10 million back then. Both of them have their own reasons for hating these soldiers that they're chasing. Yeah, they have like a shared hatred. Both of them, as the movie goes on, have different reasons for needing revenge on the movie. Because, I mean, she is seeking them out to get revenge, to kill them for what happened to her. And it's a long movie. It's about 2 hours and 12 minutes long. So... a lot of it is it's a mixture of these characters certainly getting to know each other better and their motives better, because at first he doesn't know what her motive is when they join together. As it goes on, they really kind of understand their own point of views in doing this a bit more so, or whether or not some of them even want to go through with it as the movie goes on. Then you also have just these bastard soldiers, and they are raping machines.
Yeah,
in this movie,
they don't respect they're just like they don't respect the natives at all, and like. Just what?
No, yeah, no.
They don't respect the natives at all. They're just like, oh yeah, there's that one, and they like rape them and like.
Oh yeah, they are programmed for a few different things. They are rapists and highly disrespectful.
I know. I'm like, I kind of feel bad for some of my ancestry being English and Australian.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, so I'm pretty sure my ancestors were one of the people that colonized Australia.
I don't know that history, but like, so. They are programmed for a few different things. One is a lot of rape, and another is just shooting people.
Yeah.
Like they will just, but it doesn't matter how old you are, they will blow you the hell away in this movie. So the villains are great. Like, you want to see these guys get their comeuppance at some point in the movie.
It's definitely worth like waiting for, because you're just like, you just hate these guys. Mm-hmm. But I forgot the names now, but the main guy.
The bad guy? Sam Clayton?
No, the main good guy that we're following with the
Billy?
Girl. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really like her. They both don't like each other in the beginning, because he thinks she's like Englishman, which she's actually just an Irish convict. Mm-hmm. But she also just like, I'm just using you to get me from point A to point B.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, they don't really like each other, but then they find this shared hatred of them, and they just like get their revenge together, and they work off each other pretty good.
No, they did. The movie it uses scenery incredibly well, like we do with all the shots in the wilderness. There's chases, being lost downstream, having to trek across some streams and not realizing how heavy the rapids are. It's a gorgeous looking movie. It's a different kind of movie than The Babadook. It's not a horror film. It's an adventure drama thriller, really.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to expect. There is gore for sure, and like the rape scene is horrifying, but the rape scenes are horrifying. But like, yeah, you're definitely just getting more of like an adventure thriller revenge movie. So if you're going in thinking you're getting The Babadook, it's just an entirely different kind of movie.
No, but I mean, you can tell a sense of that from if you just look up the plot synopsis of the movie. So anyway, I just wanted to do a short review on that. I didn't really want to make it its own video. So check both of these movies out. Dolemite Is My Name is on Netflix. The Nightingale is on Hulu. Again, give them both a watch. Both great in their own ways, in their own very, very different ways. Makes an interesting double feature with each other. So yeah, these were both excellent movies. I wish I could have seen them in theaters. But I'll be seeing Playing with Fire in the theater. Rob and I are going to see that, so we should have that review up pretty soon. So, all right, everyone. Oh, did you have anything else?
I was just breathing. I'm gonna go take a shower now.
I told
I'm tired.
you to stop with the breathing. You must remain perfectly silent and not breathing in video. Your breathing really throws me off. All right. Thanks for watching.
Bye.